Welcome to How About You, a friendly podcast about just getting along. Join your hosts, Griffin and
Drew,
as we attempt to find the Waldo of our lives. Apparently there's strategies for the best way to find Waldo, but I haven't been able to master those.
Okay.
The same way that I apparently haven't been able to master, making friends. But I feel it's apropos.
I'm curious as to what the strategies are for looking at a picture until you find the guy who's in the picture.
Basically, it's you look in certain parts, and he's more likely to be in a certain part of the page than he is to be in others. And so you look in those places first.
Like statistically?
Yeah.
Like Waldo is the X% more likely to be in the top left corner rather than the...
Well, not the corners themselves, like the very edges are, they're almost 2-3% that he's ever been in those. So you just want to cut those out immediately. But the 70 to 80%, I think, of the page, not the edge, but not the center, like right between the edge and the center, I guess. It is kind of hard to give you a verbal picture of a literal picture. But he's basically kind of the outskirts, but not the exact outskirts.
Huh.
There's articles and YouTube videos that can lead you through this better than I can. It is not my field of expertise.
Interesting. I didn't realize that there was an art to finding Where's Waldo.
And to continue the metaphor, it's probably true that just by nature and habit, I don't go in places where it's easy to make friends. Bars, for one thing, I'm told are a good idea, but I don't drink, and the rest of the ambiance doesn't appeal to me.
I mean, that's fair. When you go hang out in a very loud place where there's a bunch of jerks.
Well, yeah,
when you're not drunk.
Even when I'm in bars, it's generally with people that I already know as friends, and I generally am not a fan of the fact that I have to yell at them.
Right.
I have only once asked a bartender to turn on the music, and I felt very uncomfortable doing so, and I was very clear, not a lot, just one or two little things on the nozzle. You don't have to turn it all the way down, just a little bit. And she even turned it down more than I felt that she had to, and I, was very explicitly thankful for her for doing that, especially since I bought nothing that night.
So is it a moral choice or just a mental, physical choice? They're not drinking.
I thought you were going to ask about the friendship thing. No, it's a bunch of things. It's well, first of all, I never hung out with that crowd in high school, which is really where you kind of start getting your feel for that thing, and especially for the social aspect of it, of figuring out who can drink the most, or figuring out how to have fun at a gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never, I was never at those parties. I was never, a fan of those kids. In fact, I most of the time explicitly hated those kids, who were the most out and out avowed, probably potential high school alcoholics.
Right.
Then on top of that, my best friend for most of high school was a straight edge kid, and I never went explicitly flew the banner of straight edge, but a good portion of my favorite music is Ian MacKaye related, and I also just by habit have never done any of the things that straight edge is against, so I'm technically straight edge, in the same way that I suppose I'm technically not a major polluter, kind of, I guess.
All right, fair enough.
And then my parents had divorced when I was a year old.
Mm-hmm.
and apparently one of the major factors was that my dad would stay home and drink as opposed to finding a job. Although, to what extent that is true, as opposed to just something that, my mom said to make him seem shitty and out of anger, remains a mystery.
Gotcha.
But at that time, and especially in high school, that was, a factor. Also, my heritage is Irish, German, and Russian. So I feel like if I start drinking, I'm never going to stop.
Okay.
So it's real. That was a very simple question you asked me, and I gave you every possible answer.
It's a very complex question of why somebody doesn't drink. Like, I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be I just don't like the taste, or something like that.
Well, that is a part of it, because at this point, like, I mean, on my 23rd birthday, I think it was, I was hanging out in a bar with some people I knew from improv and acting classes. And like, you don't drink? Come on, it's your birthday, have a drink. We'll buy you a shot. And I went to drink it, and like I caught a whiff of it, and it just smelled horrible. And I realized, this isn't going to be any better in a couple of seconds. So I was like, here, I'm not going to have this. You have this. And the guy bought a trinket, so he wasn't losing anything on his investment.
Right. He was making out better because it went in his tummy.
Well, depending on your view.
Depending on your view. Yeah, I mean, a shot is awful. You probably did the right thing there.
I guess partly it also stems back to I was raised Catholic, Roman Catholic, and my first communion, I had the communion wine, and like I made this horrible, disgusted face, and I turned around to the congregation, and like they all saw that I had this like horrible, disgusted face, like just like this is the worst thing ever. I just ate dirt essentially, or something like that, and like the entire congregation laughed because of my face. That may have been my first laugh that I got.
Nice. Sight gags.
Yeah, I guess.
The best kind of gag. Yeah, so how did the aftermath of last week's drive down back home? How'd that go?
All right. I got home. Oh, I went and picked up my friend Matt at his business, where he is a vice president of a software company in downtown Chicago, The Loop. And then we went back to his place where he introduced me to his new dog, Charlie, who was a rescue. She had been, or not really a rescue, she'd been saved, I guess. She'd been on the streets of southern Illinois, starving with a litter of puppies.
Mm-hmm.
And she apparently a pit Great Dane mix. She looks like a pit, basically.
Okay.
But she's a really sweet dog. Her and their old dog, Timmy, they both fought over me, or just each other in general, I guess. But it was really kind of a gentle, playful fighting. And then Matt also showed me his I'm not sure what type of cat, but his cat, who is 15 years old, and recently they had to take him to the vet because he had infected teeth, and because of the pain in his mouth, he stopped grooming himself, and his hair got incredibly bad. Apparently, it's, there is a reason that cats, lick themselves all day.
Right.
I just thought it was a fun thing to do. A way to pass the time. And apparently he's sporting the Simba haircut, but he seems to be doing well. He was very friendly and seemed to be in good spirits despite, being old and, having lost teeth and being shorn, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So then we went and we had dinner together. Me, Matt, my friend Matt, and his wife as well. We went out to dinner at a at a BYOB margarita bar.
What? That's ridiculous.
They were apparently in transition. It used to be something like Caesars or Carlos's or something with a C, and now it was also something with a C, but a much more different name. It's not a common name like Seska or Casca or something like that.
Okay. So margarita, it does like Mexican food, or what's the?
Yeah.
All right.
I had a veggie burrito, I believe.
Nice.
Which was pretty good, I have to say. And they had a nice ambiance, some blue lights. The chairs were arranged nicely.
Ooh.
And it is obviously my type of bar. But one of the topics of discussion was whether or not they would survive as a place without its own liquor license. And as we were sitting there, like 3 or 4 different people came and asked them about what happened to the old place. Oh, this is the old, and the guy to explain to them, but this is the old place, we just have a different name. And then we went, Matt and I went to the Under the Gun Theater in Chicago, which was recently opened up by Kevin Winey, formerly of the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in New York.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
He, real nice guy. We went to see a show that is a parody of Game of Thrones.
Game of Boners? Is it, no? Yes?
A Swarm of Spoilers.
A Swarm of Spoilers. That's much better.
Well, I feel, it's less likely. I mean, it's a very accurate title. It's not a bad title at all, but it is, because they're parodying the TV series, which is what most people know, and they're doing so with a reference to the books.
Right. Which,
sure, be as informed as possible in making your incest jokes, but a little, I think, cross purposes there, possibly. But we went to see it because our friend was in it, and she was able to get us comp tickets, so we didn't have to pay, the horrible price of $5.
Oh man. Value on value.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing like your discount tickets to see 45 minutes to an hour of, again, incest jokes and references to the various ways in which mainly sex that happens in the series, and then also the horrible disfiguring injuries. But it was a good show. Our friend Sam played she played Sansa Stark, as well as Lysa. I forget her last name.
Oh, that would be Lysa Arryn.
Lysa Arryn, there we go. And I thought she killed it as Sansa. I thought she was better than the actual Sansa. Although I may be biased, but I think I'm right. And then as Lysa, she comes out with a rubber boob hanging out, and then she is carrying the actress who plays her son, who then licks the rubber nipple. And a fun fact that Sam shared with us afterwards is that she put grape jelly on the nipple to make it more interesting for the other actress.
Huh.
Which I thought was very polite of her.
Yeah, method acting.
Because I think most people go with a dry nipple.
Most people go with a dry nipple.
I don't think a lot of people take the time to consider the flavor potential of the nipple.
Sometimes you just gotta flavor up a nipple, man.
And again, I think the standard topping is either whipped cream or some form of chocolate. So I really feel like the jelly route was an inspired choice.
I don't know if jelly's gonna stay on a plastic titty. Maybe, but it doesn't really have a spreadability factor, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I think it's more of a rubber. So
Porousness?
Well, porousness and also friction. So, I mean, plastic, like Tupperware kind of plastic, that's going to slide right off.
Right.
But if it's like whatever ridges they put on the bottom of tubs nowadays, that's more, not a lot of sliding going on.
All right. I'll buy it.
You'll buy that for $1?
I will buy that for $1.
You'll buy that jelly-covered titty for $1?
$1 jelly-covered titty. Get at me.
That should be a concession they sell during that show.
Jelly-covered titties for $1?
Jelly-covered titties, strawberry jelly-covered appendages.
Definitely.
For all the, chopping action that goes on in that show. But the next day I attended a acting workshop at the Green Church Studio where I had taken about a year and a half of courses in the Meisner method of acting. And this was their free workshop to bring in new people, give them a taste of what they'll be learning. It was good times. I felt it was good to go over the basics again, especially since I haven't done anything in a while. It was nice to see that I was pretty much picking up where I left off.
Right. Definitely.
As far as the exercises go. And it was a really good group. It was nice seeing people, because Meisner, out of most acting methods, does have some of the weirder exercises that people point and laugh at. But it seemed like, I'm sorry?
Like what? Like which one? Give me an example.
Like the basic, most common exercise is just sitting across from someone else and you both repeat the same thing until you reach enlightenment. So like if I was sitting across from you, I would say, you have a beard. And you would say, I have a beard. You have a beard, I have a beard. You have a beard, I have a beard. And we just go back and forth until truth is attained. The Meisner acting boils down to living truthfully in imaginary circumstances, as opposed to, digging your fists into your eyes to simulate crying, or throwing your fist in the air going, huzzah, to express your happiness. Those are extreme examples, obviously, but it's to get away from, the falsities and be truthful with the emotions that you're feeling and putting those into whatever you're doing at that time.
Okay. Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
So, yeah, I got you. I'm picking up what you're laying down. I do.
Because I know I'm not the best ambassador for the metaphysics of acting.
Right. I mean, it's a tough thing to be an ambassador of, I think. That's kind of why it...
Well, if you ever want to see someone do a great job at that, go to the Green Church Studio. They're wonderful teachers as well as wonderful people. Also, it's absolutely the best value in Chicago as far as acting classes go. What they offer what they charge for 10 weeks of courses is less than what some studios charge for a month or 6 weeks of courses. And after that, my plans for Saturday night fell through, so I just drove home straight through to Ohio. Got back about, I think, 1 a.m. I was really feeling that last 30 miles too.
I believe it. Shit. I ain't about that life. No way, no how.
I mean, my theory was that I would much rather sleep and then wake up in my own bed before having to go to work on Sunday than waking up very early in not my own bed and then drive as quick as I can to get to work on time.
All right, I give you that. That's fair.
But I mean, that's generally, like, I mean, a lot of times people would be taking classes, people would be like, "Oh, it's late. You should stay here in Chicago for the night." I was like, "It's not that big of a drive home, and I prefer waking up in my own bed." And they're like, "Okay." And yet again, that would probably be an example of me not furthering friendships just by personal preference and what I feel is most convenient or more comfortable for myself.
Definitely.
So how was your weekend?
Mine was much less eventful. Friday, I get out of work. I'm thinking, I'm gonna stop at the store. I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna work on some stuff. Gonna get a lot done. Girlfriend's gonna come over.
Ooh.
Gonna hang out. Gonna have a good time. So I stop at the store, and they got super on sale mushrooms. And I'm like, all right, I dig on some mushrooms. I can make some dinner.
Not to spoil anything, is this a food poisoning story?
This is a food poisoning story.
All right.
I get home. I pop a couple of them bad boys raw into my mouth, and I almost immediately regret it. I wash them first, You take them out of the package, give them a little rinse. They look a little on the brown side. They've seen better days. But pop a couple raw into the mouth, and it's like, oh, all right. Maybe I'll regret this. Spoiler alert, I regretted it. I had a lovely evening with the lady when she came out.
So you're anticipating your girlfriend coming over, having a fun night. What did you buy besides mushrooms in anticipation of that?
I got mushrooms. I got lettuce, tomato, onion. I got some tahini so that I could make a hummus. Made a nice hummus. And then I had a couple tortillas sitting in the fridge at home. So I was like, all right, I can make a nice burrito when she gets here. She's gonna love it.
Okay. So between this and a pre-show, pre-air conversation, you've made hummus twice within 6 days.
I have made hummus twice essentially.
Okay, how much hummus do you make at a time?
2 cans of chickpeas. The 16-ounce cans.
60, that's 2 pounds.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
All right.
There's more than just me eating it, I assure you. And yeah,
I
pound through some hummus. Don't you worry about it.
I mean, again, I'm no expert, but I do question the validity of a chickpea-based diet.
I do what I can. I mix it up with other beans. There's some black beans, some lentils, Keeps me regular.
Is chickpea a bean?
Huh?
Is chickpea a bean?
It is a legume, yes.
Oh, okay.
Peas are also legumes, as far as I know.
Well, but they're not beans.
Well, what do you mean they're not beans?
Not all squares are rectangles, but not rectangles aren't all squares. Like they're the same family, but they're cousins.
All right, I suppose. I don't know if that's the same thing.
Let's just leave that as an internal struggle, and you can.
Oh, no, now I'm curious. Like, what's the
We'll go through the Wikipedia page later.
Of beans versus other not beans?
Or humans versus apes.
Saturday, we're gonna go to my dad's for the day before Easter. And it's 6 a.m. and I know that it's gonna be a rough day. So, by noon, I'm sending dinner last night out both ends, which is never a fun experience.
So did it taste just as good coming up?
It was not as bad as I thought it would be coming back up.
That's about as good as it gets, really.
Right. I will tell you, though, that rice is not fun coming back up.
I haven't had that one myself, I don't think. I will say, as a someone who has also experienced food poisoning, or at least, voiding themselves constantly, water very refreshing both ways. And
You are not wrong.
Gatorade, Powerade, just as tasty.
Now, the thing about the food poisoning, though, is that I couldn't keep the water down. It would just also come out.
Yep.
So, it gets to be around 1 o'clock, and I am now having trouble, like, standing up and walking around from dehydration.
That's really bad.
It was not good.
It really sounds like you weren't hydrated in the first place, and this just made it worse.
I mean, I had slept 8 hours and then couldn't drink anything, and then I proceeded to get pretty damn dehydrated. I ended up getting loaded into my car in the passenger seat.
By whom?
My girlfriend. She drove.
Okay, she was still there. Yeah.
Yeah, she was there till Monday morning. So.
How? Well, two questions. How much of her loading you in there was like her just picking you up and tossing you in there? Was any of this under your own power?
It was under my own power.
But she was basically there for balance.
She was there for the rock, the wind beneath my wings.
She was the Sean Connery to your Nick Cage.
She was the Sean Connery to my Nick Cage, yes. So we had to make 2 stops on the way to my dad's house.
Wait. Why were you going to your dad's house and not the hospital or urgent care or whatever?
Because I had food poisoning. I'm not a baby man.
Wait, so what's your dad going to do that the hospital can't?
No, we had to go over there for day before Easter dinner.
Okay.
I had to muscle my way through the holidays, man.
We have different families, but continue.
I got shit to do, man. I can't let no food poisoning hold me down. So go over.
I personally would have relished the excuse. Sorry, guys, can't see. I got this thing I got to deal with.
Now, the thing is that on Thursday, I promised him that I would bring my little brother over for Easter dinner so that he could give him his Easter basket, do the Easter stuff, and then Sunday we were going to do it with my mom and my other younger brother.
How old are your brothers?
I got 2 younger brothers. One is 2 years younger than me, and the other is 11 years younger than me.
Okay. Your middle brother, I feel like he should be able to get himself to places.
Yeah, that one's fine. My younger brother, the one 11 years younger than me, is the one I needed to take over to my dad's.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I do that. I park my ass on his couch and kind of pull my hood on my hoodie up over my eyes and just kind of chill there. There are pictures of me because my girlfriend decided it would be really funny if she weekend at Bernie's me while I was just sitting on the couch. Which, alright. I'm not gonna lie. They're alright.
Now, to what level was she weekend at Bernie's you? Was she making you dance and whatnot?
Putting glasses on me and just being like, no, he's fine.
Was there an extensive pulley system?
There was an extensive pulley system. There was a lot of rigging. There was a lot of standing in the rafters as a marionette going do 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 do. And
so there was dancing, puppetry, and music. That's really, really impressive.
I mean, yeah, definitely. It was. I was impressed by her puppetry skills. I didn't know that she had it in her.
Especially putting this all together on the fly.
Like on the fly, like I mean, a genius. Really, I'm dating a genius. So we're there for an hour. My dad serves up dinner. I have none of it. And then he's like, you could go home, dude. Like, you've already, like, everything's fine. You didn't actually have to come. You could have said, like, I got food poisoning. I'm like, yeah, but I promise, whatever.
That's exactly my point.
I mean, I said that I would, so I did. I get home. She drives my ass back home, because I'm still not driving. or doing much of anything. And then gets me back in bed, and I sleep for another 6 hours. Her friend that hooked us up lives like 16 miles away or so. So she went over there, hung out with her. And then I wake up. I'm super thirsty. I proceed to drink an entire gallon of water. And then 4 pint bottles of coconut water.
Yikes.
Go back to sleep. I wake up when she gets back, and I run my ass to the bathroom and proceed to pee for approximately what felt like 10 minutes.
I always, whenever I have, like, even if it's a second longer than normal, if I have a long pee, I always judge it against Tom Hanks in League of Their Own. Because it's really a question of, is this longer than usual, or is this comedically long?
It felt comedically long. If it were not happening to me, it probably would have been comedically long. I was not feeling the comedy in the moment. It was a little touch and go there for a little bit.
Were you touching and going?
There was no way. Mostly just going and going and going. Okay. No touching.
Look, Ma, no hands.
360 no scope. No hands.
I understand that's a reference to something, but moving on. So, at this point, you were cured?
At this point, I was cured. The poison had run its course, and I was now a recovered man. Still, really not feeling so hot. Yeah, pretty much I'm the coolest guy.
You know it.
And chilled out to some sweet beats with the girlfriend. Put on the Spotify, which loves to kill the mood approximately every 7 minutes.
With ads?
Yeah, buddy. Let me tell you, that is the worst goddamn thing.
O'Reilly doesn't get your motor running?
O'Reilly does not get my motor running. Geico does not get my motor running. Advertisements for other songs that I could be listening to definitely does not get my motor running. You know what does get my motor running? Smooth acoustic boner jams. But
that sounds incredibly like an oxymoron. I am never letting you into my wagon on Oregon Trail.
Look, man, I will get the cholera, and I will give everyone cholera.
Cholera, dysentery. You're probably going to steer the wagon into some rocks. We have to replace the axles.
Oh, man. Dude, you know I'm going to do that. Oh, yeah. And you know, the other thing, I'm going to fuck up fording the river, dude. That's gonna be a thing. You don't want me on your Oregon Trail team. Not even a little.
If by miracle of miracles we get to the end, then there's the little mini game where you raft down the river. Best case scenario is you fly overboard and are lost to us. Best case scenario.
That's pretty much the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you let me take the reins and we smash headfirst into that goddamn rock.
Although honestly, if at that point I let you take the reins, I am asking for it.
You were proverbially asking for it. But yeah, that was my weekend. I didn't get any of the goddamn stuff that I was supposed to get done, and that pissed me off. Did end up looking at apartments Sunday night though, so that was fun.
Online?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to say apartments by you wouldn't be relatively helpful.
No, not even a little. But yeah, apartments 3 hours away. There are a couple studios that I could potentially worm my way into. That was fun. And yeah, as I mentioned, pissing myself thinking about applying for jobs that I know that I'm qualified for, but don't feel like I am qualified for. So.
Well, again, a lot of people are going to tell you no in life. You don't have to make that decision for them.
That's true. That's wisdom. Words of wisdom. Somehow I've learned that in terms of relationships and dating, but jobs are like a whole nother animal for some reason. And for I guess that confidence and feeling just doesn't translate over as well.
I would feel the opposite, honestly. I mean, if I'm sending out a resume, it's all I can do to restrain myself from typing "fuck you, pay me" for the cover letter.
All right, that's fair. I mean, you're not gonna. Maybe you creep out the guy in the HR department, but fuck him.
I can guarantee that's happened just as a result of nervous small talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, you didn't get anything done this weekend. So continuing in that vein, let's go on to our topic of dreams and aspirations.
All right. That sounds delightful.
So going back a little bit to the acting workshop I took this weekend, we had to one of the requirements was to bring a joyous object, something that you have an emotional connection to for exercise.
Okay.
I've mentioned to you, I think, before every recording that we've done, that I have bought a knife recently.
Yep.
And how I'm transferring my feelings of satisfaction away from gorging myself with food to buying things for myself, and how I've weaned myself off of buying like a bunch of different t-shirts to, just buying something that's like a knife that I can clip to my belt and I feel like it's useful. So therefore I will be useful, and if anything comes up, I'll be ready to tackle it because I can just whip out my knife and I can snip that piece of tape or open the envelope, and nothing's going to get in my way. So first of all, going to this workshop, I had forgotten that an object was required for the workshop. So I go, oh shit, I don't even have anything to fake this because I just, brought what's necessary with me. All my stuff's in a different state, several hours away. Then I realized, I have this thing clipped to my belt. I can, talk about how it's this tiny little thing, this, $10, $15 hunk of metal, but it soothes me to an extent. So I figure, okay, I'm set. I can use this. I can. I'm not going to knock it out of the park with talking about how it's the last gift from my true love who died of who had cancer but died of bloody murder. I'm not going to have I'm not going to break down crying, but I'll display emotion.
Right.
So then I get there, and it is, I guess about 5 minutes before the workshop is due to start, and my hand goes to my belt, and I realize, oh shit, this isn't on my belt. This knife that I clipped to my belt is not on my belt. So I search through my bag, my pockets, my jacket. Okay, it's nowhere. And I figure, fuck, I must have left it at the bar. Not only am I going to look like a fool, unprepared for this workshop, I have, thrown my precious $15 away. So I get up and I talk to the, I explain the fact that I had this knife and that I left at the bar, apparently, and how it represents, the act of how I feel useful by way of, surrounding myself with things that are useful. And then I joke my way through it, so I cover my embarrassment of having, failed at this monumentally simple task. People laugh. I finish the exercise. I get home. I realize that the knife is clipped to the backpack I had brought my clothes in for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So instantly, my whole the moral I left with at the end of my talk about the significance of the object was, I guess this is a lesson about how I should stop putting my stock in things and other things to accomplish something in my life, especially things that this knife had. I had a good 6-7 cuts in the week that I had it on my hands. So obviously it's less a useful thing as more just another way for me to injure myself. I guess that's a good lesson. I can't buy a thing and I bought a toolkit or a utility knife and now I am useful and handyman, or I don't have to worry about things breaking down because I can fix them. When clearly them breaking down is a result of probably my inattention or just straight up mangling things. I can't say I'm going to go to a $40,000 a year college and then this is what's going to wake me up and I'll rise to the challenge and become this great 21st century writer, if there are any great 21st century writers. I don't think there's any real rising to challenges so much as rising to the challenge of every day and, knocking even the most mundane tasks out of that, just hitting home runs constantly. Otherwise, at least my tendency seems to be towards failure.
Yeah, that's a heavy bit of information to to consider. Yeah,
I generally feel like a failure, and I think fail at the things that I set out to do. But I think my greatest success is that I don't. I guess I don't feel like a failure, but I fail at the things I set out to do. But I don't generally feel like a failure anymore. Largely probably because failure is just so standard.
I mean, as long as you're learning and continuing to evolve from the failure, all right, so it's not technically failing if you lived the dream. It's just that if you live it for a certain amount of time, that means you've done it, right?
Well,
and that's further than most people can kind of can claim to have done. So even if you fail, you've still gone further than somebody who just just has it as an idea of a thing they could do.
I think that really goes to, that has to deal with, I guess, perspective and reality. Because if you set out to be, say the next Usain Bolt.
Okay.
And you fail at you don't finish a 5K, and you end up giving up running. Have you lived the dream?
I think if you got up and started running for any amount of time, I would say to an extent yes. I think setting your goals to the unattainable from the outset, where your first goal should have been, say, actually finishing a 5K rather than I'm going to be Usain Bolt.
I feel like what discourages me is that I'm aware of that, and these great. I'm not going to necessarily be the greatest. That's years away, if at all possible.
Right.
So I need to set my sights on, I need to have a to-do list for this week and this month, and I need to accomplish those things first. Um, my feeling of failure is that, I don't accomplish those things.
Right.
Despite, all best intentions. It took me 18 months, I think, to get a improv group together in Chicago, which is one of the most saturated places in the world of improv groups. I ended it within 2 months because, I met with the guy who was coaching us. I was like, I don't think I can do this. People aren't meshing together. I don't think we're, learning the things that we want to tackle. So I think it's time to move on. I don't feel like it's a reflection of myself that these failures occur, especially in those circumstances where I've done what I could. And it was just, the way that the universe arranged itself such that things were not possible. But it would be nice, just to have one thing that I could rest my laurels on and be like, hey, at least I got that. At least I got this watercolor painting of, the shitty part. But hey, at least it's a watercolor painting I did myself, and I can hang that up, and it's not going to be in the Louvre ever, but it's my thing, and I did it. So, what are your dreams and aspirations?
Well, there have always essentially been two. I've always wanted to be a writer of some
renown.
Well, renown, or mostly of some type or variation thereof.
What type?
I have.
Did you want to be the next R.A. Salvatore?
That's probably a really good thing to aspire to, I guess. It's a very
his kids aren't coming for braces. You can say that much.
Yeah, that's true. They are not hurting for braces. I feel like those are I don't know whether they're big shoes to fill or small shoes to fill. It's
they're shoes to fill.
They are shoes to fill. I don't know. I've written a single novel. I've written a number of short stories. I've written a butt ton of poetry. It's just none of it's ever really been good enough, I think, and would require a whole bunch of editing and rewriting that I haven't done. I feel like I feel like I'm going to continue writing for the rest of my life, as long as I can. Maybe one day live that dream, but doubt it. I went to school for journalism, and I didn't really excel at that. I probably could have. If I had been in college a couple years later than I ended up being there. As it was, I ended up getting a little too into drinking and then being sad. The
Hemingway route.
Huh?
The Hemingway route.
The Hemingway route, definitely.
You were sad, so I guess Bukowski.
Whoa. I am far too nice to be Bukowski. Probably too nice to be Hemingway too, and a little too fey, but
maybe that's your problem.
Maybe that's the problem. I just need to hotten the fuck up. But yeah, I've always been a big Hemingway fan for as long as I can remember having read Hemingway.
I think it's general consensus. Good writer, shitty guy.
Yeah, pretty much. I fell in love with Hills Like White Elephants in high school, and then just kind of read I got out from the library the entire collected short story works, and I've read Farewell to Arms a couple times, and Movable Feast but a couple times, and then a bunch of other stuff. But the big aspiration right now is to programming. Being a computer programmer, it's just something that I've always been particularly good at, and the thing is, it does two things. It scratches that itch of typing on a keyboard, which is if I'm not lying, it's probably my favorite part of writing. Is just smacking keys on a keyboard.
Honestly, as someone who demanded a typewriter at 10, I think that was always my favorite part too.
Yeah, it's the tactile response and being like, oh, there are now a thing I can look at. And I also had a typewriter at 10. Go figure. But I have a big mechanical one sitting around here somewhere that's ostensibly portable, and it has a little carrying case, and by little I mean gigantic carrying case. And I've still someday plan on taking it into a coffee shop and slamming it down on a table and starting typing like an asshole, but it hasn't happened yet.
That would be the Kurt Vonnegut style of writing.
That would be the Kurt Vonnegut style of writing.
Typing like an asshole.
Typing like the big asshole. Yeah, I don't know. It's a thing that I'd like to do. I've gotten better at it over the years even, and I feel like it's an actual marketable skill, whereas writing isn't quite as marketable.
You could be the Franz Kafka, where everything's published after you die.
Right, that's true.
You got options, man.
Definitely.
But the main theme is that either way you're gonna die.
That is the main theme. Yeah, it is just something that I do, and that I'm compelled to do. So it's going to be something that is just that's one of my artistic outlets. Writing, making music, and making programs. Like, those are just some of the things that I do. Like, whether it's profitable or not, it's just shit that I do. This is a much more minor and personal, like, hobby interest aspiration that I'm developing. And I play Magic the Gathering, and I'm trying to be more competitive about it. And play in more tournaments and slightly bigger tournaments. It's just kind of an expensive hobby that being a programmer makes me predicated to enjoying. And
what does programmer have to do with it?
There's a lot of crossover.
General nerdiness?
Huh?
General nerdiness?
Well, general nerdiness, and also how the gears and nuts and bolts of how rules interact with each other, and in what order they trigger, and whether it's an if or a then or an else, or if this, do this, and then populate this with that and do this thing. And that kind of interaction like really appeals to someone who deals a lot with computer programs, and like,
sure,
it's an understandable like kind of thread through that you can follow, and that the more complex it gets, the more kind of interesting it seems. Which I don't know if that's good or bad for being a competitive player, whether it's more like seeing the complexity is more important than like being good at turning cards sideways, or I don't know.
Well, that would be more of a motor function. But I think that, I think I discovered too late in life my interest and affinity for maths and sciences. like my favorite classes in every attempt at higher learning I've had have been the math or the logic classes, because like even when I took a elementary symbolic logic, like literally the first day the teacher's like, you know all this. If you didn't know this, what we're going to learn in this class, you wouldn't be able to have walked here from your dorm room. But we're just going to, break down and understand it better. And I think that study of how things work and the logic behind them and how one thing works and then works in conjunction with something else and how they affect each other and vice versa and how whatever happens, I think that is a necessary part of life, and understanding the world. And if you don't practice that to an extent, whether it's purely for a card game or, for life in general, then you're just going through life with your understanding being what people have told you how the world is. And it's just a much less rich view of the world, and I think dampens your potential enjoyment of it.
I could not agree more. It's just one of those things that you just kind of pick up and then keep moving on, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't have many other options.
Right.
There's the two options. Keep going or don't.
Right.
And I mean, as far as I can tell, it's not the gambler's fallacy, but I mean it has something to do with gambling. Like, you can't win if you don't play.
Right.
And in this instance, you have much more to lose by not playing. So, play the game. And
so is that what we've learned this week? Buy the ticket, take the ride?
Yeah, you got the ticket for free. You might as well enjoy the ride.
Right.
The complimentary popcorn. The tunnel of love. But whatever you do, stay away from the pet cemetery.
Man, that's a great closer right there.
Is it?
I think stay away from the pet cemetery. Blam.
I've been thinking about Pet Cemetery a lot this week, because someone, I don't know, I forget how it come up. It was mentioned in another podcast about there being a typo in the title. But I started thinking about the Ramones version of Pet Cemetery, and Ramones are like, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery because I want to live my life again. And I thought that was a very good reason. I feel like most people would say, I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery. I'm a fucking human being. And I just like that the Ramones don't have the things, they don't sweat the petty stuff, and they don't pet the sweaty stuff.
They don't pet the sweaty stuff, that's true. I feel like you could probably bury most of the Ramones and it wouldn't be too bad, right? In a pet cemetery? I
mean, if they lived their lives again, that would be better for the music industry, I feel.
I mean, how evil could they possibly get? Come on the other side.
I really think they would tend towards the lethargic side of the living dead.
You think?
Yeah. Like, they would be the zombies that you see, that you walk past, and they're like laying on the ground, and you're like, oh, this thing can't even, do a claw at me out of just to make, keep up appearances. They're just gonna sit there and moan.
Because, I don't know, I think maybe Dee Dee comes back as William F. Buckley, but...
Wait, no, that's not how it works.
I think that's how it works.
He lives his life again. He doesn't live someone else's life again.
Oh, that's how the pet cemetery works. You come back and you're evil.
But you don't come back as someone else.
Yeah, but I mean, he would
Are
essentially
you
just be
saying
like,
that? Are you saying that William F. Buckley is the
evil deity?
evil? Like if he was in a mirror universe, William F. Buckley would have a goatee, and Dee Dee would not, basically.
No, that would be implying a mirror universe. That's completely different.
But I'm saying for the sake of argument.
For the sake of argument, no, because Dee Dee was a right-wing Republican and loved him some Reagan. What? What's my point?
Yeah.
Well, my point is that if Dee Dee gets buried in a pet cemetery, he comes back to life.
How does he become William F. Buckley?
He doesn't actually become William F. Buckley. He becomes like William F. Buckley in the sense that he's a palpable source of right-wing evil. Like, you just walk into a room and it's like Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back, you just immediately fire at it because you know it's evil. Right?
Okay, I think what's happening here is I have a mirror universe understanding of good and evil, whereas you have a sliding scale understanding of good and evil.
Yeah. So, like, in Pet Sematary, it's a sliding scale. Like, all right, maybe you're a little bit evil when you die. Then you get buried in the Pet Cemetery, and then you come back to life, and then you're full-on evil, right? That's how Pet Sematary works. Am I wrong? I'm only going based on the movie, though. I haven't read...
going based on the song, which is where I think we're...
Oh, I'm talking about the movie. The film. Pet Sematary. Which I believe they're probably referencing in the song.
But what the song says isn't that they didn't want to live their life evilly. They just don't want to go through all the hardship again.
Okay. Because I think it's much more interesting thinking about the evil undead Ramones and what they would do. But all right,
I feel like
I'm picking up what you're laying
Evil
down.
Ramones would just be a worse band. Like I don't know, whatever the shitty generic punk band is. Something on probably the current iteration of the Warped Tour.
Do they just turn into Avenged Sevenfold? Is that the
something like that in that vein? I'm honestly not familiar enough with Avenged Sevenfold to throw them under the Ramones tour bus.
Are they Sum 41? Is that the
let's go with that.
All right.
I think we can all agree with one thing. It would be pretty cool to hang out with Fred Gwynne.
All right, probably yes. That's fair. That is a fair assessment.
So are we cutting off at Fred Gwynne, or are we cutting off on the first thing?
I don't know. Do we want to try a stab at wrapping it up again, or do you think we're good?
I think let's give people the idea that of podcast verite. This is the real thing.
The slice of life, as it were.
Let's leave all the bumps and whistles in.
All right. Well,
so that has been. How about you?
So, have a week.
Boom.
And in the